And I'm thinking, that was our family. No, that was the neighbor's family. This guy's from Canada. They have that problems up there. So anyway, Andy Junkin, author of Farming with Family Ain't Always Easy, is here all the way from Ontario, Canada. And he consults about how ag families deal or don't deal with transition and change. At the break, please be sure to stop by the registration and pick up your copy of Mr. Junkin's audiobook. Please welcome Andy Junkin.
How many people have somebody coming home to farm in the next 20 years? Or are the farmers themselves going to go home to farm? It's awesome. I improve how farm families make decisions together. People always ask me, what does that mean? Well, if you've got a sick cow, you call the vet. If you've got a tax problem, you call an accountant. If you've got a legal issue, you get yourself a good lawyer. But if you've got a problem making decisions within your family, who do you call? The only person you really can call at this stage is Jack Daniels. And he's only there to help you talk about the problems, but not fix them. My name is Mark Andrew Junkin, and I improve how farm families make decisions together. I have a company called Agriculture Strategy. People think I go around the countryside telling people what they should do. That's my uncle. I never tell farmers what to do. The farm families I work with most of the time are way smarter than I am. What I do is I improve how they make decisions together by getting everybody to focus in on what matters. And that's what I'm going to talk to you today about. My infatuation is in the science of decision making. I'm interested in three things. How do we make decisions as a family together? How do we get those decisions into reality so we're actually making money? And the third thing is, how do we transition decision making from one generation to the next? What I'm talking about today is just plain common sense. It's not rocket science, but it will skyrocket your profitability and improve what Christmas dinner is like next year. Okay? A little bit about myself. I'm a 7th generation farm boy from a little town called Bobcaygeon. Everybody at the university always calls me Bobcaygeon because there's never been a farm boy that wanted to go back home and farm so badly. The first white man killed in the township was my ancestor in 1832 on the back end of our farm. He died so I could have the privilege to farm. And I took that obligation very seriously. However, I was top of the class at agriculture college. There wasn't a reason in the world why we didn't go home and farm. But what we had was just a crazy succession experience. I'm not going to talk about my family. I'm not going to do it. But what I'm going to tell you is that my parents got divorced as a result of the experience. The farm is not successful, and it's just a mess. And what I've done in my life is turn lemons into lemonade. See, all my friends from ag college, they kept on calling me up when they had problems with succession planning. And I just listened to them. Well, when I seen one of my best friends who had one of the best families I knew of, and that family fell apart at the wedding because of a succession mess, I knew that the way we were doing succession planning just had to change. And so that's been my life mission for the last 7 years, in the next 50 years probably. And here's the problem with succession planning. Can everybody see this fine? Okay, so what we have here is a pair of cords that you don't want to trip on. But what we have here is basically, kid goes to agriculture college or gets an off-farm experience. 2 years I recommend you spend off the farm before you come back home. There's that 10-year period where you're working with a family. And then there's that 10 minutes when you're sitting at the lawyer's office, signing the paperwork from one generation to the next. In succession planning to this day, everybody's always infatuated with that 10 minutes. They may talk about the transfer of management, but it's just BS. 90% of effort is focused on the transfer of assets and how we avoid paying taxes. And as a result, we have crazy situations going on across the countryside. I do 50% of my time, I mediate family crisis. I'll talk about that in a minute or two. But everybody's focused on this 10 minutes. Nobody's ever thought about the 10 years before that moment, when you have father, son, and daughters butting heads. Nobody's ever thought about how can we go from butting heads to pulling in the same direction. Nobody's ever thought about how can we better transition management between generations. And I call this the decade of dysfunction, because I believe in the majority of farm families that this is the decade that you either slingshot ahead or you go downhill. And there's too damn many good families falling apart because they just cannot transition management. And here's the problem. Well, there's two problems, really. What makes a good farmer, what makes a successful farmer, does not make a successful successor. Try saying that 10 times. What we have a problem with in farming is what makes a good farmer is an infatuation with control. You go on to a successful family farm, there's not a blade of grass out of place in that operation. That has been what has made that farm successful. That man or woman's infatuation with controlling every little detail. Does anybody here know what I'm talking about? Does anybody here know anybody I'm talking about? All right? That person's infatuation with control would make him a really good golfer. Just like Tiger Woods, he's infatuated with putting the golf ball wherever he wants in the golf course, down to sub-square inch accuracy. Now, where I'm from, golfing and farming is just about mixed. But anyways, you'll have to work with me on that. But what the problem is that for Tiger Woods, you, me, and Tiger Woods to go golfing together, he would not want to share the golf ball. He would not like the idea of the three of us hitting the same ball. Because I know I would throw a groove on it. You know, that golfer, to switch from one person to a team sport is a different mindset. It's like switching from playing golf to playing football. It's a different game and different rules and different mindset. And what makes a farmer successful is his infatuation with control. But for him to let go of control is the toughest thing he'll ever do. And there's nothing against him, it's just, or her, it's just the way they're wired in the head. And they need help with that transitioning process, or else the farm won't be successful. I see a lot of family farms where dad or mom are controlling the decisions on that farm to the day they die. And it's like their son or daughter, they're sitting there with the golf bag as a caddy. And the son and daughter have never really made a decision, or it's like they've never swinged a golf club before in their lives. They've watched their parents do it all this time, thinking that they can do it. But I see a lot of sons or daughters, the day after dad's funeral, or mom's funeral, try to swing that golf club for the first time, and the ball goes in the rhubarb. And that's why you see a lot of successful family farms. We only have 5% success in going to the fourth generation. Why is that? It's because we're not good at teaching decision making in the next generation. We're not good at letting go of control. It's nothing against these people, these guys are doers, not teachers. It's against their personality type. And what they need is somebody to just handhold them through the process. These guys have always been good at everything they ever touched. Everything they touched turned to gold. And it's a big frustration for them at the end of their lives to not be successful at succession. But this is what I'm interested in. So, I'm a mediator. Okay, 50% of my time, I walk into family farms about 5 to 10 years after the account's screwed up. 4 times in the last 5 years, I've taken firearms off farms out of guys' hands that were about to kill themselves. I get called in by the accounting firms, not just in Ontario now, but across North America, for the worst of the worst situations. And I'm good at this because I've been there myself with my own family. And I know what Christmas Day is like to be spent alone. And I know that failure is not an option. But my goal in life is to eliminate the need for a mediator altogether. Okay? And that's by changing the first 10 years